Friends, welcome to a new module, Professional Education in India, a Critical Appraisal. Through this, we will try to analyze the professional education system in our country in a constructive critical note. As we have seen in the first module of the course, in the ancient era, India had been a center of higher education in the field of linguistic studies, cultural studies, philosophy, arts and professional studies like agricultural sciences and many more. These courses were extremely popular all over Eastern and Middle Eastern part of the world. Some of the other subjects like Indian dance forms, martial arts, Ayurveda, astrology, arts and music used to be imparted to Indian and foreign students. The universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila have been renowned schools of those days. India has been ruled by different race and ethnicity of human society, and hence the system of education kept on changing its shape and process. This led to a modern education system that presently exists. The Indian education system has been a cumulative conglomerate mix of different origins that came from different places of the world. Hence, the original value-based education system such as Gurukul had lost its existence. If the present status of the Indian education system is compared with the developed countries of the world, one would find the need for the improvements. According to the survey of different agencies of the world, like Times Higher Education, the top Indian universities do not find a place even in the first 250 top universities of the world. This has become a startling fact and a big worry for India. The ranking of autonomous institutes like IITs, IIMs, government institutes like central universities and all the universities such as Calcutta universities rank are not good. This implies the ill health of our education system. The methods of teaching and learning and the process of governance have deteriorated over the time. This is applicable to both the general higher education and professional education too. But the recent data shows some hope in our professional education. 25 Indian institutions figure in the 2019 ranking of top 200 in 43 emerging economic countries, 7 more than the number that figured in last year's table, according to data released by Times Higher Education. The Times Higher Education Emerging Economies Universities ranking shows that the Indian Institute of Science retains the highest spot for India, 14th, followed by the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. However, each slips a place this year, mainly due to increased competition. THE 2019 table represents a mixed picture for India, with several new entrants and high risers alongside, but several institutions that drop back. The Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, scales 21st places from 35th due to improvements in research, volume, income and reputation, and industry income, knowledge transfer. The Indian Institute of Technology, Indore, and the JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research are the highest new entrants for India this year. The Savitribai Phule Pune University climbs 87 positions to join 93rd along the side National Autonomous University of Mexico with a rise in its research score and a significant rise to its citations score. organizers of the ranking set. Mainland China, with 72 institutions, remains the most represented country in the annual listing, claiming 4 of the table's top 5 positions. It's a fact that Indian institutions have immense potential for success, not only on the emerging stage, but globally. But while progress is clearly being made, other economies that previously lagged behind, such as Egypt and Malaysia, are starting to advance at a much faster rate. In this year's table, India's institutions perform well in teaching. However, they are significantly behind the global average in terms of international outlook. Strengthening this will further elevate the nation's global reputation for higher education, encourage important research collaborations, and help to attract international students. Professional education in India. Professional education in India in agriculture, law, healthcare, and technical education is, however, offered largely as individual subjects and separate from general higher education. The practice of setting up separate technical universities, health sciences universities, legal and agricultural universities in each state to affiliate colleges offering professional education in their respective disciplines has resulted in deepening the isolation further. Although the effort in professional education has been focused mainly on making students ready for jobs, the outcomes in terms of employability leave a lot to be desired. Undergraduate education. All professions have elements that are universal and elements that are specific to the context in which they are practiced. The impact of professional education on society and on the economy is disproportionate relative to its small size. The context in which professions are practiced are being redefined constantly by the changes in our understanding of society, the environment, human rights, and ethics. At the same time, professions are also becoming highly differentiated and are constantly evolving as developments in science and technology gather pace. Professional undergraduate education must rise to the global challenges. Postgraduate and research in professional education. Postgraduate education in the professional streams needed to be strengthened considerably. The curriculum must ensure that postgraduate acquires knowledge, skills, self-confidence, and entrepreneurship training to enable them to contribute to social and national productivity. Postgraduate either go on to professional practice at higher levels or become educators by taking up teaching, with only a very small fraction continuing into research. In either case, they need to be among the best profession that has to offer so that succeeding generations can get the best possible education. At this juncture, it will be interesting to have a quick revisit to the different discipline related professional education in our country. As a beginning, let us analyze the teacher education and the professional development of teachers in our country. Teacher education programs. Teacher education programs in professional education at college and university level tend to have a wide scope of objectives. These need to be focused and teachers need to be educated to specialize in teaching particular subject. A heavy dependence on the individual understanding of teachers and their ability to evolve teaching methods leads not only to highly varying outcomes in students, but also puts undue pressure on teachers. Collaborative and experiential learning methods and an awareness of professional ethics need to be brought systematically through improved teacher education. Professional education continues to be a domain where teachers are still largely master's degree holders and likely to continue to remain so in the foreseeable future. The expert people in industry, business, hospital, experience must be invited to come back and teach with appropriate preparation. It must be ensured that new faculty receive induction training and continuous in-service professional development. The teacher education programs of the country is on a crossroad, and all learners must familiarize with the tremendous changes happening in the field of teacher education. Moving to the field of agriculture and allied disciplines. At present, there are 67 agriculture universities set up on the land grants pattern of the USA, which involves financial contributions from the state and center as well as resource generation by the university. Although agriculture universities comprise approximately 9% of all the universities in the country, enrollment in agriculture and allied sciences is less than 1% of all enrollment in higher education. There is high demand in the government and development sector for agriculture graduates, and there is also increasing demand in the private sector in all aspects of agriculture, particularly high value agro industry, food processing and specialized knowledge, intensive areas such as water efficiency, food safety and trade. Both general and specialized education in agriculture is needed in order to increase agriculture productivity through better skilled graduates and technicians, innovative research and market-based extension linked to technologies and practices. Now, let us have a quick look into the legal education sector. India's development in the 21st century and the fulfillment of our dream of taking our rightful place in the global arena depend crucially on our ability to strengthen the institutional frameworks that underpin governance. A key aspect of governance system is the ability of the state and private interest to adhere to the constitutional values and establish, support and maintain the rule of the law as envisioned in our founding documents. The maintenance and flourishing of socio-political institutions require a cadre of professions in the judicial system, including lawyers, judges, para-legal and administrative staff. All these roles require continued development of legal education. Further, it is to be envisaged that the law education that is informed and illuminated with constitutional values of justice, social, economic and political, and directed towards national reconstruction through instrumentation of democracy, rule of law and human rights. It recognizes that the legal profession has social responsibilities to reach justice to the unreached in rural and tribal areas of the country through community or social justice lawyering. Therefore, legal education is to be visualized as a public rather than a private good, where in the state, society and markets have distinct interest and reasonable expectations related to their contribution to inclusive and equitable development. Finally, professional education in law has to be globally competitive, adopting best practices and embracing new technologies for wider access and timely delivery of justice. Hence, a new legal education policy is to be formulated, imperative for assigning direction for future change. Now, moving to the field of healthcare education. There is now a global shift from curative medical practice towards a more holistic approach to healthcare that balances wellness, prevention and cure. This has deep implications for medical education in India. Indians have always exercised pluralistic choices in healthcare, seeking help from different systems of medicine for different needs. This makes it important to impart medical education in an integrative health science framework and replace the current silos in which it is imparted in India. Healthcare education must ensure that the skilled doctors, nurses and paramedics are trained in schemes that are appreciate pluralistic health education perspectives alongside specific disciplinary foci. Reforms in medical education must necessarily have a profound impact on the quality of healthcare delivery. The goals and standards for medical education must be derived from the vision of state-of-the-art quality and affordable healthcare for all. Reforms in healthcare education must aim to improve the quality of infrastructure from primary and secondary healthcare, particularly in rural areas. Improving access to healthcare education for rural students and lowering the cost of education is the key to achieve this goal. Now, let us move on to the technical education. Technical education includes degree and diploma programs in engineering, technology, management, architecture, town planning, pharmacy, hotel management and catering technology. Many of these sectors are critical to India's overall development. Not only will these sectors continue to demand well-qualified individuals for several decades, but there will be greater need for closer collaborations between industry and institutions to drive innovation and research. Further, as the influence of technology on all human endeavors grows, the silos between technical education and other disciplines are expected to erode. Teaching learning process in professional education face specific challenges as these disciplines are neither entirely knowledge based nor are they entirely skill based. They require individual creativity and application of both knowledge and skill on the part of the teachers and the students. Lack of adequate textbook in many disciplines further exacerbates the difficulty, and student performances are heavily dependent on the quality of the educational institutions and their teachers, leaving a lot to chance. After having a gestalt treatment on the different professional disciplines, let us have a quick glance on the governance, regulation and accreditation. A prospective vision for the governance is presented here. The Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, through appropriate mechanism, will mentor the evolution of professional education in synchronize with the rest of higher education. The guiding principle shall be one of looking at higher education in a holistic way and not in a piecemeal fashion. The overall regulatory framework created for higher education will be extended to professional education, and NERA, National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, will remain the sole regulatory authority. The regulatory role of the 17 or more professional councils such as the BCI, ICAI, MCI, or the proposed National Medical Commission, INC, VCI and others with regard to professional education will be converted to being PSBs as far as education is concerned. They will not specify curriculum. Instead, they will specify professional standards and or a curriculum framework against which educational institution will prepare their own curricula. Improvement of academic performance, including reforms in curriculum, teaching and preparation of teachers, will be done through providing autonomy to the higher education institutions themselves. All institutions offering professional education will also be mandatorily accredited once every 5 years by accreditation agencies empaneled by NAC in consultation with the professional councils. Independent accreditation agencies with the necessary mandate to accredit all professional streams of education will be empaneled. The draft report of the NPE 2019 will give you more insight in this regard. Now, let us have a glance on the professional education bodies in India. As the Government of India funds these apex bodies, it is naturally that all major policies pertaining to education percolate through these apex bodies. We will see one by one. AICT. AICT governs the boards of architecture, hotel management and catering technology, information technology, postgraduate education research in engineering and technology, undergraduate studies in engineering, etc. All India Management Association, AIMA. AIMA carries out a range of management related activities and initiatives such as distance management education, management development programs, research and publication, testing services and national events and competitions. BCI, Bar Council of India. BCI promotes and sets standard for legal education and grants recognition to universities whose degrees in law will serve as qualification for enrollment as a lawyer. BCI founded the National Law Schools of India University for Research and Instruction of Law. COA, Council of Architecture. COA is responsible for regulating the education and practice of profession throughout India besides maintaining the register of architects. Any person willing to pursue architecture as a profession will have to register with the Council of Architecture. DCI, Dental Council of India. DCI, a statutory body, has representatives of the central government, state government, universities, dental colleges, Medical Council of India and the private practitioners of dentistry. It was constituted with a view to regulate the dental education, dental profession and dental ethics. DGS, Directorate of General Shipping. The DGS is the statutory maritime authority of Government of India. The Directorate is responsible for administration and management of activities taking place in Indian sea waters. ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. ICAI is contributing towards education, professional development and maintenance of high accounting, auditing and ethical standards. ICSI, Institute of Company Secretaries of India. ICSI develops and regulates the profession of company secretaries. It is the only institute which offers this course and awards the certificate bestowing the designation of a company secretary to qualify members of the institute. MCI, Medical Council of India. MCI sets standards of higher qualifications in medicine and recognition of medical qualifications in India and abroad. It deals with the medical colleges and hospitals and medical professionals of the country. NAAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. NAAC certifies the institutions of higher learning, colleges, universities, institutes, etc. in the country, but it does not include the institute providing technical education. NBA, National Board of Accreditation. NBA conducts periodical evaluation in the technical institutions and programs on a periodical basis according to specified norms and standards as recommended by AICTE Council to it. NCTE, the National Council of Teacher Education. NCTE sets up norms and standards for teachers' education right from preschool teacher education to postgraduate level teacher education. It plans, coordinates and implements innovative ways to educate teachers. PCI, Pharmacy Council of India. PCI prescribes, regulates and maintains minimum educational standards for the training of pharmacists uniformly in the country. Any institute providing pharmacy education in the country requires registering with Pharmacy Council of India. Now, RCI, Rehabilitation Council of India. RCI maintains and standardizes the standard of training professionals. It has a national program policy in the form of primary health center and bridge courses. Then coming to the University Grants Commission. University Grants Commission has been coordinating, determining and maintaining the standards of university education and teaching in the country. VCI, Veterinary Council of India. VCI regulates veterinary practice and veterinary education across the country. I request all the learners to develop an outlook on the regulatory mechanism prevailing in some of the developed, developing and developed countries. At this juncture, as we are all in the field of higher education, it is better to have an analytical treatment on the revenue part of our professional education system in a very brief manner. As you know, the world-class universities are extensively engaged in high-quality research, either fundamental or research with industrial applications or both with full government support. In India, we lack sufficient research grants and overall research and development expenditure is less than 1% of the GDP, which is much less as per OECD standards. Further, universities maintain a different identity than scientific organizations and both are controlled and governed by separate set of ministries like MHRD for university, Ministry of Science and Technology for scientific institutions like CSIR. Besides, the Ministry of Defence control research grants for DRDO labs. Moreover, many Indian institutions are very young. Some of the top universities in the world are centuries old and hence they have accumulated the cumulative strength of knowledge, generations of successful alumni working across the globe, whereas very few top institutions in India are some decades old. Endowment culture is also missing in India. While in top universities across the world, the successful alumni donate generally for infrastructure development and research funding for the universities. In India, major spending on higher education is done by government or promoters of private universities. However, all public and private universities are making efforts to adopt best global practices to come at par with world-class universities. To make higher education system robust, it requires nurturing with solid, revised foundations towards teaching learning pedagogy, which should be learner-centric. India's higher education system can become more robust by adopting outcome-based education and giving flexible, choice-based credit options to the students. Partnership between universities, professional bodies, and industry is very much necessary for enhancing the employability and entrepreneurial skills and for creating new avenues for research funding and technology transfer. To make a mark in the area of high quality research publication, we need to create a research culture among our universities by providing more funding for cutting edge research and for publication. Top universities in the world put more emphasis on quality research and are being measured by publications in Scopus and Web of Science indexed journals and citations per paper. We need to measure the reputation of a university by its research output rather than its placement output. Recently, NIRF has given a lot of weightage to research output in its ranking methodology. Universities must evolve a mechanism to generate revenue through intellectual capital in academia, such as technology transfer, consultancy, and training. It will also expose academia to emerging industry practices. A balanced view between teaching, research, training, consultancy, and technology transfer is necessary to prevent the threat of commercialization. To sum up the discussion so far, professional education must seek to develop the individuals with the capacity to combine a strong foundation of theoretical knowledge and specific competencies, the ability to connect theory to practice, an understanding of how their profession impacts and is impacted by society, generic competencies such as decision making, critical thinking, problem solving, and communication, and an ethical compass and disposition to be constructive, contributing citizens. Achieving such a goal necessitates that professional education be integrated with liberal education. Hope as professionals and as learners of higher education, you will apply your wisdom to enhance professional integrity. Thank you very much. Thank you.